Good evening. I'm student meteorologist David Stoltz. Looking out here at a live look at Doak Campbell Stadium, you can see it's mostly cloudy today. It's been mostly like that all day today. We currently have a temperature of 75 degrees under partly cloudy skies with a north-northeast wind at 9 miles per hour. Here, looking at the radar, you can see there is showers and storms draped across the northern part of Florida. That's all because of associated with a stationary front that is currently over the state. And we have, there we go. Here's the radar. We're going to zoom out a little bit. You can see here where the front is by these showers and storms. This front has been moving to the north. It's been stationary most of the time, and it has dragged moisture from tropical storm Gamma, but is no longer tropical storm Gamma. Tonight you can expect a low of 70 degrees under cloudy skies here in Tallahassee, and tomorrow you can expect a high of 82 under cloudy skies. This is FSU Weather, Monday edition. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Tallahassee. I'm student meteorologist Josh Green. As David said, we've got partly cloudy skies behind us today. It is currently 75 degrees, partly cloudy with winds coming out of the north-northeast at 9 miles per hour. Yes, and here we have this stationary front that's taking up most of our viewing area right now, stretching all the way from Jacksonville, Duval County, coming up towards from the Gulf of Mexico, eventually into parts of eastern Tallahassee. Zooming out a bit, this is a much better view of this large stationary front that's bringing a lot of moisture to northern Florida right now, coming from the Gulf. And for our current temperatures right now, Tallahassee is sitting at a nice 75 degrees, Quincy 73. A little north, we've got 76 at Bainbridge, and down to our south at Apalachicola, we've got 75 degrees. All right, winds. We've got winds coming out of the northeast. Pretty mild winds right now, 9 miles per hour in Tallahassee, 12 down in Apalachicola. And as for our dew points, it's a bit muggy out there because of all that moisture that we've got coming up from the Gulf of Mexico right now. 60 in Tallahassee, 64 in Quincy, and a bit milder at 53 in Bainbridge. And for the next 24 hours, you can see we've got some moisture coming in through northern Florida. It's going to be sitting right on top of there just for probably the next day or two. And for our day part forecast, we've got 70 degrees at 12 p.m., a little partly cloudy. As we move in through the day, it'll 3 p.m., 82 degrees, and at 6 p.m., it'll be clearing out with temperatures at 75. And as for our week ahead, as we move in towards the rest of the week, we've got, starting with Tuesday, partly cloudy skies, 82 degrees. As we move in towards Wednesday, we've got storms that'll be coming in through the area, sitting at 85 degrees as our high and 72 as our nightly low. For Thursday, you can see we've got a lot of moisture coming in, some possible thunderstorms, humid conditions. Those dew points are going to be coming up as we move in through the week, highs at 85 and a low at 74. As for Friday, we see conditions clear up a bit for Friday as we move into the afternoon hours, with a high of 83 and a low of 73. And as for our weekend, Saturday, we've got very windy conditions as well as thunderstorm conditions, with a high of 82, which is a bit milder than the rest of the week. And as we move towards the beginning of next week, we see conditions clear up with very mild highs as well. And let's move things along and pass it off to Robert.
All right, thank you, Josh. So we're going to have a quick look at our southeast weather right now. You can see that it is pretty much on the mild side for most of us. You can see 70s up in Jackson and Shreveport, 80 over in Montgomery, and if we have a look towards our east, you can see it gets a little warmer down in the Panhandle where there is some more rain down there. And you can see it does all the way up to 87 in Tampa and Miami. So you can see it's not that bad right now for most of us, just a little bit warmer down in the southern part of Florida. And you can see that's sort of what I was talking about over here for most of us, it's on the drier side, so not too bad. But as we look again to southern Florida, you can see it is quite a bit muggier down there. So not that comfortable with temps all the way already in the 80s, but we're seeing also very muggy conditions, so not very fun for them down there. You can see also up 53 in Atlanta, 59 in Charleston, not too bad for the rest of us. So let's have a look at these winds, though. You can see that, again, for most of us, it's pretty clear for wind-wise and temperature-wise, and then also looking at the rest of the conditions, too. But also, you can see for down in South Florida again, it gets a little bit dicier down there. You can see all the way down to 17 miles per hour in Key West. Let's look at the satellite and radar. You can see, again, clear conditions for most of us, but as we look towards the stationary front, you can see that we are seeing that these conditions are starting to get a little more rainier, and they are starting to move off towards the north. And as you can see here, a general outlook for thunderstorms, nothing on the severe side, nothing too terrible, but we could see some lightning and maybe a few strong showers for those from Miami all the way up into the I-4 corridor, near Orlando, maybe up into Jacksonville. But you can see, as I was saying here, these conditions, these rainy conditions for most of Florida are starting to move off to the north a little bit. So we're going to see this cloud cover sort of increase as we go off to the north side. But for most of us all the way up towards Jackson and Montgomery, that cloud cover won't really reach you guys, so not too bad for the rest of you. And, oh, there we go. You can see tonight's forecast, low temperatures. For most of us, it will be from the 40s up in Little Rock down to 64 in Charleston. But again, warmer all the way up to 81 in Miami. And high temperatures wise, it's going to be pretty hot for most of us. All the way up to 91 in Tampa. Wouldn't want to be there tomorrow. That is our look at the southeast weather conditions. I will pass it off to David for a look at the tropics.
Yes, thank you, Robert. So what is going on in the tropics now? Things have heated up, and we're going to take a quick look at the names we've gone through. And this is actually the Greek alphabet that we're looking at here, because we've gone through 4 names now. We're Gamma and Delta. Delta is the newest one, which we're going to take a look at here briefly, or shortly, I mean. Here is actually what's left over. This is a tropical depression Gamma now. It's been downgraded at 4 o'clock, and has winds about 30 miles. It's kind of just going to meander here along the coast and slowly fizzle out. So where is expected to go? Well, Gamma's remnants are expected to travel up this way according to the spaghetti models. And so this is probably going to happen because of what will soon be Hurricane Delta, which is coming up out of the Caribbean. And here is a look at Tropical Storm Delta, almost a hurricane. It's at 70 miles per hour winds, and it's moving to the west at 8 miles per hour, and expected to strengthen into a major hurricane as it approaches the Yucatan Peninsula and eventually into the Gulf of Mexico. And I'm going to take another look here at a satellite picture. Let me come over here, and you can see there is some good formation to this storm. It's got good inflow, and it's got the low pressure and circulation going very well. It's got lots of moisture around it, and it is forecasted to become a major hurricane over the next few days. So where is this storm going to go? Well, according to the forecast models, this storm is going to travel up towards the Yucatan Peninsula between western Cuba and Yucatan Peninsula, and eventually turn to the north towards New Orleans. So if you live in New Orleans, you want to be prepared and aware of what's going on right now, because this storm is forecasted to make landfall somewhere along the Gulf Coast, more likely probably in Louisiana. And here are the probabilities of tropical storm force winds as that storm approaches later on towards the weekend. You can see Tallahassee, we are well out here. We're probably not going to feel any direct effects from the storm, but we will have increased moisture and clouds due to Delta. And here is next 24 hours. You can see as Delta, you can see the cloud shield from Delta eventually coming up into the picture as Delta moves into the Gulf of Mexico. And we've looked at all the names now and stuff. And so, yeah, if you live along the Gulf Coast anywhere, have your plan in place and have your hurricane kit, because these things can change direction as they move along in time. And so you just want to be ready for anything that comes. So now we're going to hand it off to Josh for, now we're going to have a look at Lindsay's environmental and agricultural segment.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm student meteorologist and student environmentalist Lindsay Parmet, And here we are, another segment of Current Environmental Issues with Lindsay in my gorgeous backyard here in New York, where I will be for the rest of the semester, but I'm really, really hoping I'll be in the studio soon. So I miss you guys so much, and I really can't wait for next semester to see everybody. But for now, today we are talking about how agriculture contributes to overall climate change, such as increased carbon dioxide emissions, water depletion and water scarcity, which is a huge issue currently, as well as deforestation. So first, we're going to start with carbon dioxide emissions. 18% of carbon dioxide emissions actually come from animal agriculture. Animal agriculture is the raising of cattle and poultry for human consumption. So many of you may know that cattle produce high amount of methane, and this is because of the way the cattle will break down the food that they've consumed in their stomach, and when they defecate or pass gas, it has high amounts of methane in them. So this methane is overall contributing to the increase in CO2 in our environment, which is furthering the climate change problem. So now we're going to take a look at water really quickly and water scarcity, because this is a huge issue that is going to affect every single person on this planet. Water is a basic human right, and it takes a lot of water to produce some meat eaters' favorite foods. So for example, it takes about 600 gallons of water to produce a single hamburger. Now, if we think about how many people eat hamburgers and how many times a year people eat hamburgers, it's a lot of water being used on the agriculture and animal agriculture business. Now, it's not just cattle that are the problem, it's also chicken. For each quarter pound of chicken that's produced, 130 gallons of water are used. And people eat chicken regularly. It's not something that's taboo in our society. We see it in every meal. So it's a lot of water that's being used. And lastly, let's talk about deforestation really quickly. Deforestation is bad because it's cutting fields in order to make more room to raise cattle, to raise poultry, but also to plant more crops. However, you would think planting more crops is a good thing, but by cutting down a forest or an area, it's really not, because you're getting rid of all of the possibilities of trees being able to take in that CO2 and then give us oxygen and cleanse our air a little more. So now you may be wondering, how can I help? The best way to do this is to reduce the amount of meat that you're eating. And I know that a lot of people, we're in college, we can't really afford a vegetarian diet. And that's totally cool and fine, but if you can even just reduce your meat intake for one day by doing Meatless Mondays, you would be doing your part to save the planet. So I'm really glad that everybody could tune in today. I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy, and have a great day, guys.
Lindsay, for that educational piece. Okay, let's go out to the West Coast, starting with LA. We've got 77 degrees, moving up the western seaboard a bit. In Seattle, it's 65. Taking a look more to our east in the Rocky Mountains, very warm conditions in Denver, 80 degrees for this time of year, 77 up in Billings. And towards the Great Plains, we've got 75 in Kansas City right now. To the south, we've got 79 in Dallas. In the northeast, 57 degrees in Boston, 65 in DC. As we move towards the southeast, we've got 87 down in Miami. And as for our current dew points, most portions of Florida, including south and central, are very muggy right now because of all that moisture sitting in the area. As we look to our northeast, a bit drier conditions as you make your way up towards New York and Massachusetts area. This is the big thing that we want to talk about for the dew points. 19 degrees in Denver. This is very, very dry conditions, which is leading to a bit of a fire problem that we're going to touch on in a bit. As we move a little towards the west, we see dew points rise a little bit as the moisture from the Pacific comes into play. Here's our satellite and radar right now. Not much to talk about for the most big portions of the U.S. except for this large front that is just sitting right on top of central and northern Florida right now. Active alerts, we've got a small craft advisory for our Gulf Coast region. Over here in the Denver area is where we have a fire warning. This is because those very dry dew points, it's very dry conditions right now, perfect for fires to form. And over here in California, we have a bit of an air quality problem because of those fires. And our satellite and radar in the northeast, Not much here. Cloudy conditions for the most part. As we move towards the west, same story. We've got a bit of a rain storm moving in towards the Minneapolis area. And towards the southwest region, very dry. You can see some cloud cover over parts of Southern California. And then in our southeast region, you can see this large band of rain that's just going to keep sitting right on top of northern Florida. For tonight's forecast, 81 degrees southern Florida. As we move up towards the northeast, you see conditions are a bit mild. 56 degrees in Boston, 56 in Washington. And out towards our west, Denver sitting at 51 tonight, Seattle 53, and LA at 63. And as for tomorrow's forecast, we've got 88 in Miami. This is a bit, that's very warm conditions for Miami right now. Stormy conditions down there as well. 83 here in Tallahassee. As we move up towards the north, 68 Boston. And moving out towards the west, 84 in Denver. There's those very warm conditions causing those fires in the Denver area right now. A little towards the southwest, Los Angeles sitting at 78. San Francisco, 72, and towards the northwest in Seattle, we've got 70 degrees. And now we're going to pass things off to the desk with Robert.
Actually, we're going to take a look at the local forecast again, and live look at Doak Campbell Stadium. You can see it is, I'd say it's almost mostly cloudy, but it's been like that pretty much all the day, and it's kept temperatures on the mild side, about the upper 70s, low 80s. Currently, Tallahassee is 75 degrees under partly cloudy skies, with north-northeast wind at 9 miles per hour. Nothing to talk about on the radar as far as the panhandle goes. We do have some, like I said, you can see from the live look at Doak Campbell Stadium, there's clouds present, but the showers are mostly to our south and southeast and east of us, as we have this front that is draped right here across North Florida. It was the same front that was over South Florida has moved to the north in response to what was going down here with Gamma, and that will continue to progress north and give us some more moisture so that there are increased rain chances as we go through the rest of this week. The current temperatures around the Big Bend area, well, they range from 76 degrees up here in Bainbridge, 75 here in Tallahassee, and down here in Apalachicola, 75. And that's in response to the cloud cover has kept our temperatures down. There's a little bit more of dew points have come up since the past few days due to the southerly flow around the high pressure that is northwest. We're on the western side. So on the western side. So moisture has been brought up from the Gulf and raised our dew points. So you see dew points around the area, 61 in Thomasville, 60 in Tallahassee, and 64 in Quincy. So you see the wind is sort of out of north, northeast, easterly direction, depending on where you're at in the panhandle. Here in Thomasville, it is 5 miles per hour to the east. Here in Tallahassee, it is 9 miles per hour out of the northeast. And over the next 24 hours, you see the clouds starting to get a little bit thicker over the panhandle area as that front moves up. And we also get moisture from Gamma that has been sheared apart. And pretty much this is going to be our weather for the next week or so, with increased rain chances as we go through the week. Here is the forecast for tomorrow at 12 p.m. Cloudy skies at 70 degrees. 3 p.m., 82 with clouds. And there'll be a little bit clearing later on in the day, around 6 p.m. with temperature of 75 degrees. As we look at the week ahead, you can see that our rain chances do go up as we go through Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Our chances of rain will up. It'll become more humid due to the southerly flow and more moisture from the Gulf. And as we get to Thursday and Friday, and things become windy on Saturday as tropical storm Delta will become a hurricane. We'll be off to our west, but we will feel some effects of the wind as that approaches. I'm now going to hand things off to the desk with Robert.
Thank you for that, David. So something David did talk about a little bit earlier when he was talking about the tropics was something called the Fujiwara Effect. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about that in our education segment today, what that is, how it affects the processes going on in the Gulf, and why it's important to know what it is. So first off, the essential question that the Fujiwara Effect answers is, what happens when two hurricanes or tropical cyclones in an area, a very close area to each other, what happens when they get close to each other? And the answer is, what happens is they sort of circulate around a central point, both circulating in a counterclockwise motion for the northern hemisphere, And they sort of circulate around this point until they eventually converge into one system. Now, when most people hear something like that, they think, well, okay, you've got two big hurricanes there. Are they going to both converge to this big, bad, scary hurricane that's going to destroy all life as we know it? Well, not quite. The thing that happens is usually there is a stronger hurricane or some sort of tropical system there, and another more weaker hurricane or tropical system that sort of converges, like I said earlier, but you don't see any sort of net big strengthening from it into a big megacane. It sort of just has no overall net strengthening with it. And it's just because that's just the Fujiwara effect. When you have these two systems, the bigger system usually absorbs the weaker system, doesn't really get anything from it. It just sort of kills the other system as they sort of form together. So the important reason that you should know this is because whenever we do have two systems like we have right now with gamma and delta that could exhibit this Fujiwara effect, that's one reason why all the models for gamma are pointing towards New Orleans, is because it's showing that becoming a combined system with delta and potentially going towards Louisiana. Or back when we saw Marco and Sally, eventually that we do see this happen. It's pretty rare, but it doesn't go into some sort of big, bad, scary megacane or anything. It's nothing to worry about, just a cool weather phenomenon that I wanted to explain. And now we're going to pass it off to Josh at the wall for a look at Florida weather.
Thank you for that speech about the Fujiwara effect, Robert. That seems pretty interesting to me. All right, here's current temperatures right now in Florida. Key West sitting at a very mild 88 degrees. As we move up towards the state, cools off a bit. Orlando 83, Gainesville 72, Tallahassee 75, and over here to the west is 81 in Pensacola. So our satellite and radar, rain is the moral of the story right here. Miami can see some scattered thunderstorms coming in up through South Florida for the regions for the rest of today. Up here, as we get towards the more northern parts of Florida, we've got this long rain band that's just going to make its way across the state into the evening. Here's that scattered thunderstorms throughout South Florida right now. You can see the Keys are getting pretty pounded by those storms right now, up through Miami and portions of West Palm and a little bit northward. Here's our Florida forecast. Miami, 88 degrees, very warm conditions for tomorrow. As we move in later to the week, very similar conditions with a little bit less chance of rain. For the Tampa area, very warm in Tampa, 91 degrees tomorrow with a 50% chance of thunderstorms, and those conditions continue with a bit of a clearing effect as we move in later towards the week. Orlando, sitting at 90 degrees tomorrow and through the rest of the week. You can see Wednesday they've got a bit of an elevated chance for thunderstorms. And here's our satellite and radar for the central region of Florida right now. You can see some scattered thunderstorms making their way through Placid Lakes and up through Lake Wales. And right now you can see Palm Bay is not really getting much, and Orlando has some storms to the north. Moving northwards in Florida, here's that big rain band that's just making its way through Lake City. Looks like just passed through Jacksonville, so Duval County seems in the clear for now. A little bit to the south, Gainesville looks like there's going to be some rain coming your way in the next couple hours or so. And for our forecast for Jacksonville, 83 degrees for the next 3 days with a pretty significant chance of thunderstorms for the rest of the week. And as for Pensacola, we see a bit milder conditions, 30% chance of rain for Wednesday, and moving into Thursday, we've got a very, very high chance as that storm to the south moves in. And for our satellite and radar area for the Big Bend region, not much to look at there. Tonight's forecast, very mild conditions across the entire state. And for tomorrow, we've got very warm and wet conditions as we move across. And now we're going to pass things off.
Thank you for that, Josh. Here's one last look at our local conditions. You can see right now outside of Doak Campbell Stadium, a little bit on the cloudier side, but not too bad today. So you can see right now, it is currently 75 degrees and partly cloudy, winds coming from the north-northeast at 9 miles per hour. Not too bad outside, a little bit, like I said, on the cloudier side, but enjoy yourself right now before we have some of this rain coming in. And with this satellite radar, you can see this. It's clear for most of us in the southeast, but as we look on our local area, you can see some of this rain starting to drift northward with the fact that this stationary front, this moisture is starting to come northward with the remnants of, well, not remnants yet, but ultimate remnants of gamma and delta. Starting with this moisture towards us in Tallahassee, we could see some rain here in just a little bit. And you can see for the country, not too bad for most of us. You can see some rain up in Minneapolis. but overall, not terribly bad for most of us. So, a quick look at our local temperatures. 75 in Tallahassee, 75 in Apalachicola too, though sunny down there compared to us with some clouds up here. You can see up 74 in Valdosta and 73 in Thomasville. So, not terribly bad conditions for most of us, just a little bit on the cloudier side. And looking at these dew point, you can see it is significantly more muggy than we had with that dry cold front coming in a few days ago. 60 in Tallahassee, 63 in Valdosta, 65 in Apalachicola. But you can see if you look back down towards the east, it gets significantly more muggier as we go back into the southern part of Florida. Looking at the wind speed and direction, you can see, like David said earlier, you see these winds coming towards the east as the more north you go, and then they're going towards the south, the more south you go. These winds are just sort of not too much to talk about right now, 5 to 6 miles per hour for most of us. Not too much of a story with the wind today. And the next 24 hours, you can see a lot of this moisture starting to lift northward into our area, particularly off to the east with the stationary front starting to affect us. And the day part forecast, you can see at 12 p.m. it will be 70 degrees tomorrow. At 3 p.m., clouds 82, clearing by 6 p.m. with 75. So we're going to see some of these clouds starting to go away. Not too much of a weather story for tomorrow either. So a look at the week ahead, you can see that, well, we have a few stories here. Right now, for most of us into Tuesday and Wednesday, you can see it's cloudy, and then we start to see some more storms as the stationary front begins to affect us. And then as we go into Thursday, as this moisture continues to lift northward with the arrival into the Gulf Basin of Hurricane Delta, you can see that it becomes a lot more humid and a lot more rainy. 85 degrees and 72. As we go into the weekend, you can see that rain does sputter out on Friday, but as we go into Saturday, you can see we do see some more thunderstorms, but overall not too bad. 80s for most of us during the week and 70s for most of our lows. It's not terribly bad, just you need a raincoat. So I'm going to pass it off to David for our closing.
Local weather. Storm 2020. Yes, it's a crazy year this year. And on the Gulf Coast, we have one more storm coming. And so it's one of those years that anything is possible. And so we got to keep our guard up and make sure we are prepared for any type of storm in the Gulf of Mexico. In this case, it will be Hurricane Delta. It's always good to be prepared and always good to be aware of what's going on because hurricane season is not over. As we all know, June 1st through November 30th is the hurricane season, but it's not unlikely for a storm to develop outside of that. Peak than the, but there is a peak in October, and we're about there at the moment. So peak, cloudy, rainy. So make sure you have your umbrella handy. To the weekend. On Twitter at twitter.com/FSU weather. To look us up on Facebook at facebook.com/FSU weather. Send us a picture. Send us watch us live on YouTube, youtube.com/FSU weather. Also, FSU. Chances for the panhandle. Hey, it's 20, so anything's possible. I'm student meteorologist David Stoltz. This has been FSU Weather, Monday edition. Have a good night.